Welcome to Cinema Gulp. This is Ben and Mark, and today we're recapping Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2.
Quiet!
From Episode 6 to Episode 10. We will be a spoiler-heavy video, ladies and gentlemen, for this one, so if you've not seen Season 6, Part 2, we suggest you get your asses over to Netflix and check it out, and then come back here and check out our show. Or, if you don't care either way, welcome aboard.
Quiet!
So 6 kind of starts right where 5 left off, right? Episode 5. So, we got our intros, or at least a very short intro to see, the Cobra Kai team come on. We got other teams in there. And, of course, the little reveal that Tori is now on the Cobra Kai.
With the loud operatic music. Oh, it sounds like the Empire.
You see the kids kind of settling in, doing their rooms and this and that. And of course, naturally, after seeing Tori, you kind of see Robbie's weighing really heavily on his mind, right? So he's distracted, and he's gonna be distracted for several episodes because of this.
Betrayal hurts. Betrayal
yes,
hurts.
Absolutely. Johnny being Johnny, and I love when Johnny first meets Wolf, right? And their little interaction. And then, of course, all that then leads into the that little schmooze fest they have with the all the senseis and like the branding and marketing and the tournament. So of course I love, again, Johnny's such a scene stealer in every scene that he's in. Like when he's talking about when he's playing with the nunchucks, he thinks that these aren't great. It's like, hey, take these back to the shop.
I love that Wolf turns out to be the Hong Kong sensei of arguably the toughest dojo.
Mm-hmm. The Iron Dragons. Yeah.
This is flaming dragon.
And then I also love, of course, you get Daniel's furthering. You shows Daniel, showing the headband around, see if he can find any information about it. And then I also like that they did touch upon how the hell is Kreese there, which I don't know if you would consider it a weak plot point or not, because he basically just tells Johnny I escaped. They dropped.
They dropped the charges.
They just dropped the charges. The veteran with PTSD.
He didn't do anything. I know the court systems don't work that way, but I think, if he's not extradited, then he can go from Korea to Barcelona and not get arrested. He just can't go back to the U.S. But he's a secret agent at this point, Mark.
Yep.
He sneaks into the U.S. just to talk to Tori for 5 minutes and then flies all the way back to Korea.
Yep. And then, of course, one of my other favorite characters making his return too. You got Drunk Chosen showing up at the buffet.
Yes.
And just making a complete ass of himself.
I knew Chosen was coming back at some point because some of the promotional stuff showed him on the sidelines, but I didn't know to what capacity or when he was going to show back up. So I'm glad he did show up at the end of the first episode of episode 6.
And I love how he was taking it out on those flowers, because those were the same flowers that he saw at Kumiko's. He's like, those poor lilies or orchids or whatever they were.
Episode 6 is basically the team getting there. Everything's kind of in disarray. Johnny and fucking Daniel are
always going at it again
for the billionth time. I'll get this out of the way because it started in part 1. It leads right into this episode. I understand you needed to give them a storyline, and for some reason, Hawk and Dimitri's storyline I absolutely hate. It is so boring. It takes up way too much focus. Dimitri just should not be there. He should not be at the Sekai Tekai. I don't think throughout the entire season he wins a match. He's getting his ass kicked. He's accidentally screwing up other people on the mat. I don't know.
At least as far as it plays out for part 2, you do definitely see him being a detriment, but I think that also ends up at least leading to a decent payoff at the end. I do agree with you. Yeah. This guy is being insufferable. He's not being that great. Kenny would have been 1,000 times better, but I think they did have to ratchet up the tension, especially with Hawk there. And of course, maybe they probably did play out that feud between them. Not going to the same college anymore and going to their own, separate ways.
Went on for too long.
And that bitterness they developed for a bit.
The great thing about episode 6 when they first get to Barcelona is that they're disjointed as a team. Everything, Devin is feeling the guilt of what she did to Kenny in part 1. She could have been an insufferable character too, but for some reason she's so likable that even when they try to make her sort of a pain in the ass to the characters, I still enjoy her character. With the Cobra Kai universe, as it's been since like season 3, I would say, it's a fantasy world of karate culture that exists where no cops ever show up to anything when there's brawls. and that bleeds over to Barcelona, where you know, there's a bar, and like, you know, our new quote unquote villain, who we'll get into it deeper, Quan, super annoying guy. I mean, nothing that comes out of his mouth is not condescending and like villainous, you know, but I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I like the character.
No, sure. I like the character, but that's the way he's supposed to be. So they go to like a bar or a game place or something, and they're doing this kick competition, and you're like, what?
Like a high kick, yeah.
Yeah, what is this? And, you know, Robbie does a high kick, but ends up losing, and they lose their room. And there's a nice, funny montage with an 80s song. I can't remember the name of it. I wear my sunglasses at night. It's setting up what you're kind of already thinking, Mark. They are going to get their asses kicked in this thing, probably. At least until they get their shit together.
From headspace to now hotel bedroom situation, so not even getting enough sleep. They're going to be fighting some really tough opponents. I mean, everything is not starting in a good place for Miyagi-Do, but, you know, that's part of the fun when you write these scenarios is, you know, you don't want to be starting up here. It's like, hey, we got to start down here, build our way up.
Sam in a pretty good headspace, aside from the Tori thing. So she goes into the next episode pretty strong. Robbie completely messed up because of Tori. Hawk and Dimitri, I guess that it doesn't really mess Hawk up as a fighter. He's thrown off a little bit at the beginning because of how good people are, but Hawk ends up fighting pretty well. I don't think the Dimitri thing's really screwing up his fight. And then obviously you have Devin Lee, who's just battling with the guilt of what she did and why should she be there. But then you have Miguel, who is just super pissed off that he's not the captain.
Yeah, very resentful of Robbie.
But it comes to his advantage because he fucking kicks ass.
No, that was spot on, because like, yeah, with Miguel's resentment building up and him channeling it, I mean, we basically saw the return of El Serpiente. Of course, as the episode ended, we had this nice little, like, I guess, throwback in the end credits where apparently a member of the OG Cobra Kai, there was a memory of Chad McQueen.
Yeah. They never found a way to get him on the show, which would have been cool. I guess Hayden and Josh and John had said they were this close to getting him on sometime this season, but it didn't feel right, so they didn't want to push it for no reason, and I respect that. Quiet. Okay, episode 7, Dog in the Fight, and we know why it's called that. There's a couple of reasons, but there's also a very literal reason. Daniel's obsession with this Miyagi chest that he found of stuff and this headband, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, I don't know why you're bringing that in so late in the series. Is it just to give Daniel something else to do?
Apparently, at some point in his youth, Mr. Miyagi did participate in a Sekai Taikai of his own. And there was a headband, and he had his own headband. He was a captain headband with some blood on it. I mean, it's a running theme through the whole show that Daniel obviously holds Mr. Miyagi in a lot of high regard, but almost to a point of obsession and like worship. So, he wants to know. This is his next big obsession. He was like, oh, I didn't know about this. I want to find out why. Why did he keep this from me? So, he's trying to track down some information regarding this headband, see if he could learn anything about it. In the middle of the tournament, thinks he's going to be back in time, goes off by himself into the middle of nowhere, somewhere potentially dangerous, and then he gets knocked out and kidnapped, and he wakes up in a dog cage.
By the way, the location, I love how this show is. They're getting their money's worth by shooting exterior shots on location in Barcelona. Because I took a 10-day vacation there about 15 years ago, and the spot where he gets out of the taxi cab, first of all, that's not a place that's open. It's a tourist attraction, but it's in what's called the Gothic Quarter, and it's all ancient castles and ruins. When I saw that, I was like, oh, because I have.
You're like, I know that spot.
I was standing right next to it in a bunch of pictures. Yeah,
nice.
It's so cool.
Now he's missing out on the tournament that, of course, is continuing in his absence. I do like that it led to a nice like Sam Johnny moment, because the team is frustrated, they're having their downs. Johnny's trying to lead in his traditional Johnny style, but it's not working.
Yeah.
And then Sam pushes back against him. So I like the moments and the character moments they had there.
Make a damn play. Shut the fuck up. Don't say a goddamn word to me. That's what I fucking think. Too many damn people think they got this shit made because they.
And of course,
that scene was kind of depressing in the locker room where Sam's like telling Devin, "You shouldn't even be here," and like,
oh yeah,
feels so terrible, and everyone just looks defeated because Johnny's doing his old Cobra Kai act instead of the way he should be doing it, which he does later. But yeah.
Yeah, and I do like it that they often get. I mean, I kind of wish Daniel had as many moments as these myself, right? Like as far as balance, because balance is a big thing when it comes to like their karate and whatnot. But Johnny always has these moments where he gets often pushed in the corner, and I love his character development where once again he's just like, you know what? He self-reflects and he's like, no, I do. As much as I'm pissed off once again at Daniel, I do need him. And then when he was, he put it aside and made that voice. Call to his voicemail saying like, hey man, like I know this is shit, but we really need you. I really need you. Please get back here wherever you are, Yeah. And I thought that was a cool character moment to have, once again for him.
That's when Zapka shows that he really shines not just as the comic element of the show. He's such a good balanced actor when it comes to this character. I don't know if he could play other characters because we've only really ever seen him as Johnny.
You're scaring me. This will just take a minute. 1, 2, 1. Hey, no pain, no gain. Thanks, kid. No matter what you think, you will always be a crude, obnoxious, nouveau riche little flea.
And then, and of course we have the ongoing distraction, with the team, and then Robbie in particular. Like it seems like every time he takes a glance at Tori, I mean, it just brings him down.
Yeah, it got kind of annoying. It's like, okay.
Yeah, because it happens so many times. Like
it happens too many times where he's focused and he's kicking someone's ass, and then all he does is look at her, and then he goes, and he just gets his ass, and that riles up the tension of him and Miguel as well, where Miguel's like, dude, fuck this, like hand over that headband.
He even said like literally hand it over,
Yeah, and Zolo really showed a lot of great stuff too by being a leader but not the leader, wanting the other guy to be the leader, and just being a strong guy saying you gotta lead. But okay, well, let's get into the fight.
I liked how they changed it to the raised platform. That was pretty cool.
I loved it. I loved how the first major match is like protect your captain, and you're thinking right away Miyagi's gonna win this because they did the protect the egg thing, and they just get demolished. Like no one even knows what hit them, pretty much, and then you see Cobra Kai. Okay, Cobra Kai overpowers them. But then Cobra Kai turns around. There's 3 Cobra Kais left. I think they had the whole team in at once. And they turn around, and there's our introduction to the Iron Dragons, who are basically like a bunch of Ivan Dragos. I'm assuming that's where they got the name. Iron Dragon, Ivan Drago. It's just very similar.
It's time to go to school.
You will lose.
They go to rush them, and then all of a sudden, like, the Iron Dragons get in these, like, chess positions, and you're like, what's going on?
This is Flaming Dragon!
Okay, Flaming Dragon.
And they get their asses whooped, and it made me love it. Yeah, and I love the intro to Zara's character because she's like, "Welcome to Barcelona." Tori's looking at her like, "What the hell just happened?"
Welcome to Barcelona, bitch.
The Zara girl is a 3 or 4 degree black belt in real life, and
I think she's won some stuff too.
Yeah, no, dude. I went down a rabbit hole because she's really hot. Like,
you see who that is? That's Reina Vallandigham from Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2, who is known as the female Bruce Lee.
And there's a lot of great Instagram pictures of her kicking the shit out of people and stuff. Like, she's legit. She's super legit.
I mean, they definitely played up on that, like, modern day stereotype, right? Of just how people are today with social media, especially if you go down the influencer.
You needed to have a character like that because with all of these modern dojos coming together, someone was going to be a big Instagram person or something, and it made sense that it was her because the actress in real life has like millions of followers. So, and I like Axel too. He's a very interesting character. He's the Drago guy, like, the big and stupid.
Yeah, and if he makes a mistake, Wolf is just like fucking abusing and beating the shit out of him.
Yeah,
and that's obviously terrible.
It did a good Harry Potter thing where season 1 everyone's young and it's kind of sloppy, and then it gets a little better, and then a little better, and then a little better. By season 4, everyone's pretty seasoned and having a good tournament, and then 5, it's second nature. This one, it's like next level. It's like Enter the Dragon shit. You know, it's like stakes are real. You can get your neck broken. You know, yeah, I think it's great, and I love it that Una, who plays Lee, does her own stuff because she's also a martial artist. And Hawk does most of his own stuff because Jacob Bertrand took up martial arts once he got the part.
And Robbie, I think, does his own stuff
yeah,
too.
Tanner Buchanan he's like a dancer and like a gymnast, so he knows how to do flips and all that stuff.
He's been the one that's shocked me the most with how talented he is just off the jump. He's a very good gymnast and has morphed into a really, really, really good martial artist.
It's so convincing. Nothing about it. Even Sam, who I didn't like at first, and I wasn't convinced she could fight in the first few seasons. She's got Mary Mauser plays her with so much intensity when she's fighting and just like making noises.
Yeah,
I totally buy it. Yeah,
her eyes are very, very distinct. When she goes at it.
Yeah. The only one I don't believe is fighting is Dimitri.
I knew you were gonna say that.
You make me happy.
I do like how they put them on the ropes, like on the for the raised platform match.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna lose, and like you said, Miguel having that anger and resentment towards like Robbie, especially, and just being frustrated with his team. I love how he came in with that. Well, Devin first had a sacrifice, but she had to self-sacrifice herself by just tackling a dude off the platform. But then Miguel with the clutch 1v2 pulling out that win was also really epic.
Miguel was on fire in this episode. Like, he's the only one that won his matches, pretty much. And that sacrifice was great. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could just like pull somebody down with you.
Oh no, she just lunged, dude. She just lunged and just like.
I guess you could do whatever you want. Yeah. Sacrificial play, but yeah, Miguel once again just doing his heart, like the thing he did from season 1 where he's like super mad, bully, like what? Yeah, he's the best fighter of the season. Like Miguel definitely. I've always thought Robbie and Hawk were kind of like technically perfect when it came to that, but they don't really give Hawk anything to do as far as fighting goes this year so far. Like, you can tell he's holding his own, but there's no moments where he's fucking someone up or whatever.
Because they have to have so many characters and it's hard to juggle them. Because I mean, remember, like in that one particular season, I mean, Hawk won that tournament.
Oh no, Hawk already had his moment. Yeah.
So it's like they had to bring him down just to give other people chances, which I like I said, from a writing perspective, that can be hard to do, right?
Oh no, I get it, and it wasn't a complaint. Hawk had his moment. He won the frickin' All Valley. Like, he had his moment. I just mean, like, it would be interesting if they gave everyone sort of like a nemesis, but but you're right. From a writing standpoint, that's too much to juggle,
The Johnny Devin bit, because I love those character moments, and I do like that he didn't let her off the hook, but he didn't like blast her or really punish her for it. He's just, like you said, he told her what she needed to hear, but still heavily implied, like, well, you still got to go make it right. Well, and he finally took responsibility for what happened. Yeah, because he pushed her so hard.
Yeah, he pushed her so hard, and then he kind of screwed her up from getting Mike Barnes to see her during those trials to become one of the 6 or whatever, which pushed her to cheat. So he took complete accountability because he completely understood why she did what she did. It's I love that. That's why the writing on this show, even though it's like a hokey fantasy world of karate, it's so compelling and well done.
Johnny suddenly got this emergency phone call, and his ass has to suddenly go right back to California because Carmen's in danger.
Yeah, I forgot. We can't end the episode without talking about that. Yeah, like Carmen's having difficulties with the pregnancy, so you're like, oh shit, wait a minute. So or Miguel and Johnny are both leaving, and then you're like, okay.
Honk.
Quiet! Episode 8, Snakes on a Plane.
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
So this episode finds Johnny and Miguel having to fly back to the valley, leaving the team without a player and one of the coaches. We find Johnny on the phone,
My smartphone.
On his cell phone at the airport, talking to Amanda, because Amanda is, friends with Carmen, and Carmen is there in the hospital. Can you please find Kenny Payne and put him on a plane to Barcelona? And I was like, yeah. I like Kenny. but he's been a villain for most of the show. But I was so ready for his due, and I was like, when he said that, I was like, okay, now we're gonna see Kenny fuck shit up on the good side. This episode consists basically of Johnny and Miguel on a plane, which is fucking great. There's like dramatic scenes, there's hilarious scenes, a lot
of heartfelt scenes. To me it goes right back to what the heart of the show is, especially from the beginning. Is like I always loved Johnny Miguel moments. They're some of the best in the show, or they rank up there among the best in the shows. It was so sad, like the situation that they found themselves in, especially when they got separated on the plane because Miguel was just so mad at Johnny that, well, I mean, there was a lot of funny bits, right? You had that asshole first class passenger who is just being rude to so many people on the plane. Then you had the flight attendant.
Oh, that line where she's like, "Are you going to be a problem, sir?" He goes, "Well, to be honest, probably a little."
and then Johnny trying to talk and reconcile with Miguel with the temporary situation they have going there.
You get to see, I guess for the first time, our main cast of young people kind of in adult situations. They're able to drink, at least some of them are.
Because you're 18 in Spain, right? I believe
you're 18 in Spain, and even if you're 17, it's not like here no one cares. So you see a couple of them out at bars, and a lot of like
tapas bar.
Yeah, tapas bar. A lot of trickery going on where Quan is really doing a number in Robbie's head, like acting like he and Tori are a thing. And then Robbie, a surprise to me, I didn't know that he had never drank before. I guess they never really made mention of that or whatever, but he decides to get drunk. And then you have the insufferable, once again, Hawk and Dimitri storyline where Hawk accidentally shows on a like FaceTime Dimitri dancing with a girl in Barcelona. Like, that's really a big deal, though. Who cares? Like, they're dancing.
Sure. I mean, but teenagers at that point, I get it. Yeah. I mean, the lead into that scene was hilarious because they're both sitting there saying like, let's be cool. Let's not get in trouble with our girlfriends. And it was
think with this head.
He points like, think with that head. And then he immediately goes and dances with that shit. Because Eli was sitting there going like, "What the fuck? You just said to think with his head," and he just runs off.
And then he calls
the cute Spanish girl.
Moon making her first appearance in this entire season, only on a small little screen. Because you don't really need those characters anymore at this point. But and then you get your Yasmin scene.
Yasmin in there.
Her funny line, "That filthy little man whore."
Shady little man whore.
And then Samantha walking on the beach meets our big Ivan Drago guy.
Axel.
Axel.
She was, because I mean, she knows that he's been abused by the sensei, so she just wanted to kind of like just say hello and befriend him, which I thought was cool, right? Because Sam's always been like a very just down to earth, friendly person, right? So
always,
it was cool for her to just kind of extend a hand. It's like, I know this guy's an opponent of mine, but I still, he's still a person, right? So she wants to just.
And she saw what happened to him. And
so she felt bad, and she just wanted to say hi and get to know him. And it was kind of funny too, because like Axel, because you can tell Axel is so socially awkward. He just like didn't know what the hell to do.
He's probably been in a cage, just learning how to fight his whole life.
Yeah.
Well, no, they do say that he's traveled everywhere as a fighter. But you're right though, socially awkward.
But you can tell very socially awkward. But it's kind of cool. So he warms up to her, and they kind of hit it off. They're just like, hey, cool kata, they talk a little karate, do this and that. There's like, it's getting late. Like, hey, let's just walk back to our hotel. They're being very friendly, which is cool. And then of course, we're jumping between like, Quan and his members trying to start.
Quan and his thugs are just
his thugs doing his thing, right? and then you got the group at the tapas bar, right? You've got Robbie slowly down, drowning his sorrows in some rum and coke. And then my favorite part is you've got both Chosen and Kim Dae-un.
This is the highlight of the episode.
Yeah, this is the highlight of the episode. But they're both trying to find their respective students and make sure they don't cause any shenanigans, right? So I love how they keep bumping into each other.
The best Chosen gets all the best lines ever on the show. Looking for teenagers.
the bouncer's like, try
I
the
think
beach.
That's on King Street. Yeah.
Go to the beach. You want teenagers?
Looking for teenagers.
I heard that one before. All right, get lost.
Well, he still thinks that she could be the mastermind behind who kidnapped Daniel. But she very early on says, I would have known about it. You know, so he's like, okay, well then
maybe Kreese, right?
It had to have been Kreese without telling you. Then she starts thinking for herself, like, you know, oh, then maybe there's something there. So they both go on their own little quests.
And then, you know, Kim has her own moments too, where, you know, she runs into the two drunk guys, like hit on her in a very just, you know, sleazeball way, and then she just kicks her.
She is so sexy when she fights, man. The way the edits and the camera like show her like power kicks, I'm just like in love when I see that stuff.
When you keep going back between the students, you have Sam and Axel do come across Quan and the thugs, right? They get into a little brawl, and you get to kind of see like what kind of a tank Axel really is, right? You know, to Axel, he thought they had this moment, so he tries to kiss Sam, and she's like,
he doesn't know any better.
Yeah, he doesn't know any better, right? He can't fault the guy, and she's like, oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to mislead you or anything like that. I have a boyfriend. Yeah, he's bummed and embarrassed, so he kind of just runs off. And
but he's not mad. He's not mad. He's just embarrassed. Yeah,
he's and disappointed, I'm sure, right? He's like, oh, I read that totally wrong. That sucks. You know, Robbie's getting drunk, and I can't remember if I think he did end up talking to Quan, right? Was this when Quan got in his head?
Yeah, Quan got in his head. Like, I'm gonna keep your girl warm for you, and then all of a sudden, Zara or whatever comes.
Zara is season 2, and you see that look she gives him too, especially as he's drinking. She's like, whoa, and then she starts walking up to him. You know, so you know where that's gonna go, or at least what she's gonna want to get out of, because she knows that he's Tori's, and she hates Tori. So this is just like, ooh, bitch girl time.
Those are all great head games to get inside your opponent's head. There's no rule against it. Then we get to a third meetup where Chosen, Kim Dae-yoon end up in the same place again. And at this point, I don't know about you, but I was like, they're going to fuck. Like,
yeah, the sexual tension kept rising
before that, but like I was like, okay, this is happening. After they both beat up those dickheads, Chosen jumps on a fucking the scooter. That was one of the funniest images ever. Like, he's arguing with her, and he gets on the scooter, and it just
takes off. I think that's at the top. They're at the top bus bar because they just missed everybody leaving.
They just missed everybody, yeah. And then they get into a quick little spat, which you know is meant to pull punches because they're already like ready to do the thing with each other. It's already there. Like, all the tension's there. Like, everything's ready.
Cut it with the butter.
A couple stupid moves, and then they just start kissing, and you're like, yep.
Well, I love how they did the follow up too, where you see them the next morning sharing a coffee or whatever,
and her hair's down.
She looks really great with her hair down.
Amazing looking with her hair down. Yeah, she pours the sand.
The sand. So, and then we as the audience get to learn that they didn't. Not only did they do it on the beach once, they did it twice.
Yeah.
One-time thing. Well, 2 if we count morning.
We don't know as viewers if she's ever been vulnerable like that, you know? I think at this point, for me, in part 2, this was my favorite episode from 1, 2, and 3. I was like, okay, this had so much great payoff. It wasn't focused on Daniel, which is always a bonus for me, because I always find a lot. No, I love Daniel, but it's just like, dude.
We've gone through so many of the same things with Daniel over and over again across all these seasons that it's understandable that, like, in your case, right? Well, I mean, I'm tired. I get tired of it too once it gets to that point again. It's like this again, right? Like,
a huge payoff from season 4, which you and I, when we did our season 4, we both agreed it was such a heartbreaking scene where Miguel is putting drunken Johnny to bed, and Johnny says, "I want to be a father to you." And then he says, "I love you too, Robbie." And then you see Miguel's face, and he starts crying because he thought he was talking about him.
Oh, I want to be a father to you. I really do. You're doing just fine. I love you. I love you too, Robbie.
This episode is the payoff of that, where Johnny looks at Miguel in the face and says, "You're my son too." And that made Miguel immediately cry, and maybe me too.
I see how that made you feel. You're my son too.
If you watch the show as much as we do, you know that was a payoff to that moment in season 4. You know,
I mean, ultimately, the two of them specifically, I think, are the heart of the show, more or less, more than any other pair of characters.
Well, the whole entire first season was about them.
Yeah.
Basically, it was about Miguel getting bullied and becoming his own person, and it was about Johnny. Yeah, everything else. Yeah, so you're right. They're definitely the heart of the show. But
because Amanda going on Johnny's request to go on this recruiting spree, right? Well,
and she does her Amanda.
She does her part. Yep, she does her Amanda thing.
One of my favorite characters on the show because she just doesn't take any shit. She knows exactly how to rock it.
But I also like that she knew how to talk to Kenny, and Kenny was being really respectful to her too, right?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she's the one guy, the guy who he hates the most, mom, right? And for a moment, you do kind of feel a little bit for Anthony because we as the audience know he didn't actually do what he's being accused of.
Oh yeah, you feel
he's rightfully pissed. I know I would be, where it's like, I did not do this. Why am I having to say sorry or being punished for it, right? So I get it, but I do love how he had that character moment of like, he stormed off because his mom was demanding that he apologize. He storms off, so we don't know what he's going to do next. So I kind of thought like he just permanently took off. He's just like, F this, I'm out. I love that he came back with a bottle of laxative, and he's like, you know what, because he self-reflected on, what, I thought back to all the shit that happened all the way back between our feud, and I actually started it. So I'm gonna, I want to finally make peace and make up for this, so I'm gonna go through what you went through, and I'm just gonna down this thing. And of course, the timing of that is Devin happens to call at the same time to finally confess to Kenny. And as she's confessing to Kenny, he's just like, oh wait, shit, hold on,
chugging that bottle. Yeah. Their reconciliation, though, it's not like they didn't hug it out, which I'm glad they didn't. There's no reason.
No, this made sense. This made sense.
There's no reason why they would hug it. They weren't friends to begin with. Yeah. He says, "Are we good?" Yeah, we're good. And then I do think the funniest line that Kenny's ever delivered was when he goes, he's like, I can I use your toilet? He goes, no, you need home field advantage on.
Oh yeah,
one for this size dude.
We finally get to the moment where we get to check up in what's going on with Carmen, because Johnny and Miguel do arrive in the hospital, and of course they play up this major tension of like something's possibly gone wrong with Carmen, because they're asking where she is in the room. So the show did a good job of kind of like scaring the audience of like, did something actually happen? But then we find out that in the end she's okay, and the baby's okay, which is great. So of course R2, Johnny and Miguel are really relieved knowing that she's okay now, and because she has to just stay bedridden, Carmen's just like, hey, I'm so glad you two came here, but you need to get back to Barcelona, and she wants her boys to win this thing. And of course, to cap off 8, we get our big reveal.
Okay, yes, this is why this is my favorite episode. We get the reveal that the person that had Daniel kidnapped, that's been pulling all the strings, is surprise, it's Terry Silver.
Whoa!
In a great reveal of course, a hot tub in a hallway for some reason. And then we also find out that the henchman that was fighting, the long-haired henchman that was fighting with Daniel is Dennis de Guzman, who was one of the thugs hanging out with bad boy Mike Barnes, who Daniel kind of fucks up in Karate Kid 3. But yeah, when you see Terry Silver, you're just like, oh god, the only thing that's been missing for this show that I didn't realize was some Terry Silver.
And then of course that piano overture that goes with him, because he plays.
All day, I work hard.
Quiet!
Yeah, Silver is back, and that's going to cause a big monkey wrench in what's going on. We learn a little bit more at the beginning where we get to see Master Wolf, I think, suggestively killing someone in a cage match.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Either he doesn't kill him, he like fucks him up pretty bad.
Yeah, with some kind of like heart-based like kick attack.
Yeah, so you find out that Terry Silver fell on some hard times, but got out of jail pretty easily, like we would expect he would. But he did end up losing a lot of money because of what he put into Cobra Kai and what he took in the courts. A funny little thing was that they're like, the Stingray guy was like the worst witness ever. He put his buddy Bert up on that made me laugh so hard. Yeah. It's this 3 months before type of like flashback where it shows Silver recruiting Wolf and saying like, I'll get you out of all your debt and I'll make you this, basically what he always tells everybody. I'll make you the future of a whole new karate dojo and blah, 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 and make you rich and famous and all that stuff.
Obviously Johnny and Miguel are back with Kenny. And then, of course, Johnny learns about Silver being involved again. So Johnny's now like, what the hell? He's all like fired up about that.
Johnny and Daniel see each other. Daniel says, I appreciate the voicemail. He didn't get a chance to say it before that.
Yep.
So, and that was great.
And I hope, because we obviously have one last part to all this, right? Which I assume will be like 5 more episodes. And then, the show is effectively done, right? I really, really hope that this reconciliation is the true final one, because it really felt that way, right? Where they're finally like, like as Johnny said, piss under the bridge.
It's so tiresome at this point. I don't think they should have had any hiccups this season. That's my one problem. I think these 5 episodes are some of the greatest Cobra Kai. Season 6, part 2. But it's like, dude, we didn't need them to hate each other again. There could have been other reasons that they were separated for certain amounts of time. But anyway, yeah.
I do like the scene where, Devin goes to talk to Kenny and he forgives her. He forgives her. Yeah.
It shows like Kenny's character. Like he was never, when we first got introduced to him in season 4, he was always a sweet, nice guy. He was very much like Miguel. He was a lot like Miguel. Like he was hanging out by himself, listening to music. He wanted to make friends, but for some weird reason, he got bullied. I'm not really sure why. Like, he's like a regular guy. He's like a regular kid. There's nothing nerdy about him,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember why, but obviously it all set him down a path. Yeah, it all set him down to a shitty path. But it was good to see like the old him coming back to the surface.
Yeah,
and being what he should have been this whole time had none of that stuff happened.
But also, if somebody fucks with him, he will immediately get aggressive, and I love that. In this episode, we see a lot of that because this is a very Kenny-centric episode, which it should be. Now you have your more insufferable Dimitri trying to take. The writers
he thinks he's a spy.
Like they hate his character now. They're ruining him.
Because then he thinks he's a traitor, a spy amongst them because of the timing of his return with Silver.
It's so stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone would know that Johnny called Amanda and said to send out Kenny. Everyone would know that. So why would anyone assume that it was because of Silver?
Yep. So, and then after that, we finally get into the episode or the fighting again, as you mentioned, because now the tournament is going to continue with a tag team style match between dojos. Robbie's still so not in the game that he actually causes 2 of the points against them.
At this point, it's worth saying, if we haven't said already, Devin has officially stepped down, even though there wasn't really a scene showing her say that to her teammates. It's a fact. We see it.
But the nice thing is, so they completely lose, which means now any further losses would be complete elimination. They weren't tagging the right teammates in because it's like tag Kenny in. No, don't tag Kenny in. Dimitri.
It's almost like Dimitri was sabotaging his team, dude.
like the irony, right? There's a lot of irony in this, right?
They've been like, why don't we put Devin back in and take this punk out?
Right. But I love because Miguel and Johnny came back from what they went through, the ordeal that they went through last episode. Yeah. So Robbie causes the loss. He's so down. He's so pissed at himself that Miguel goes and runs after his, it's going to be his future stepbrother, right? And they have a really great character moment, heart to heart. And Miguel lifts him up, because Miguel had that revelation where he's just like, dude, you did beat me. I know you can do this. We need a leader, and I know you can lead. This is your time to shine, because when the going gets tough, he knows that Robbie will be able to step up, and he's like, we need you to lead us.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Miguel's been one of the MVPs of the season because he's been the only one keeping them fucking in the tournament by winning his matches. And then him saying that, because he knows Robbie can kick some serious ass. if his head is in the game. You know, like he's deadly when his head's in the game.
Yep.
It was a great speech. Another great Zolo performance right there for sure.
I don't think I would call it a twist, but then Cobra Kai actually loses to Tiger Strike. So they, just like Miyagi-Do, are now also on the brink of elimination. So that puts a nice bit of tension, you know, plot-wise on both teams. I love how they go into the next match and it's do or die. Miguel taps in Robbie on purpose. Robbie's getting into it. And then once again, they have to do a tag. And I love where Robbie has that moment of, you know, the line comes in, you know, we need you to lead us, right? And I love how everyone was saying like, no, tag me, or don't tag him, you know, etc. I love how it looked like he faked like he was going to keep going. He immediately duck rolled under, tagged Kenny in, and Kenny has his hero moment of not just scoring 1 point, but both points needed to just win.
Some of the most baller moves. Like he fucks that guy up fast. That spin punch, and then he does that uppercut that he did on Anthony. Like
Kenny's right looking at Silver.
To Silver.
Can you hear this? You want me to turn it up?
There was some shenanigans behind the scenes while the kids are doing their thing. We find out that Chosen stole the knife or the dagger, whatever it's called, the
whatever that thing was. That didn't look sharp to me.
Yundango? Oh God, I know I'm saying it wrong.
It was the magic knife that he had to retrieve from the magic snake.
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes.
Funny because we actually get that nice little moment between the three of them where like they're like, you know, Daniel, I didn't think you'd go along with this, but Daniel was like,
a little defense is misdirection.
Yeah, and I love how Johnny was like, yeah, he gives him the fist.
Yeah, that was great. It was a great plan to fuck with Kreese for sure. Yeah, and Kim Dae-yoon sees what's happening. Yeah.
So I love how she immediately confronts Chosen. It's like, yeah, I know you did this. It's like, I'm not gonna rat you out, but you know this could end badly for both you and me. Like, go put it back, right?
And then you have like probably one of the most sweet moments in the entire series when they're in the locker room again. Mm-hmm. And this almost felt like the series or the finale of this portion when they're in there, you know, saying like, this may be the last, even though it wasn't going to be, but this may be the last time we all fight together as a team ever, because they don't know what, you know, everyone's going to go home and go off to colleges or whatever. And everyone kind of has their moments and like, we're a family now. And then you have your Hawk and Dimitri
finally making up. And
I love that they had Miguel jump in there and say, you guys are my brothers, because they're the first people he met when at the beginning of the show. So
they were the original trio of Cobra Kai 2.0.
And I love that they remembered that and they let the three of them have a second, you know, and then Robbie takes control. He does what they wanted him to do all along. And he says, we're a family. And he looks at Kenny, and Kenny feels it.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. Yeah. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying.
And then who are we? Cobra Kai. And I love it. You realize in the moment, this is the first time all this is happening without one of the senseis in the room. They're doing this themselves. And I love that the show acknowledges that too. Like Daniel,
especially when they walk in.
When we had this speech, but that was good enough. And that gave me goosebumps.
No, he didn't say good enough. He said that was actually better than what we were going to tell you guys.
Yeah, something like that.
And I love how Tori immediately jumps in because of that talk she just had with Kim. And it actually throws Robbie off for like a split second because he's like, Tori, what are you doing? Like, she's coming, and she comes right after him, like, you know, wanting to show like how she feels about, you know, the mistake.
Well, she got a different answer than she wanted from Kim Dae-yoon. Like, she wanted no, it's not worth it. Like, you know, but she didn't get that. So she's like, fuck it. I'm all in, you know?
Yep. And then she takes her swings at Robbie, which was, you know, pretty funny. And then of course things escalate, right? Because then you get Quan tagged in. He scores a point. She does tell Robbie like, hey, you made a mistake. He's like, you got played because I would have never been with that. And, you know, it's like, you idiot.
Your ass got played.
We tired of playing with your ass, Today your ass is gonna die, bitch.
And then finally the payoff of all that dumbass bickering this entire goddamn season, and even Chosen, out of Chosen's words himself, binary bros are back.
You finally get a couple of good Hawk moments of some moves. And I love how they always play that, you know, the Hawk sound. Like,
yeah, there's always the screeching Hawk, especially when he did a jump in.
Yeah. They do that a bunch. Yeah.
And I love how like Miguel just taps Robbie in because he wants Robbie to just fuck up Quan.
Fuck you. Fuck me.
Yeah.
And Robbie has his vengeance moment of
he's fucking mad, dude. Yeah, he's mad. And he reminded me of the Robbie from season 4, the final couple episodes in the All Valley, where he's like taking his shirt off and he's just like a Terminator, fucking everybody up on the mat. Because that guy, like, even the real guy, is like legit. Like, I wouldn't fuck with that guy, you know? Mm. And yeah, I love, like, they have him doing that thing where he flips himself off the ground, and you're just like, okay.
It's that slow-mo stand-up, and he's just like, all right, you know what?
Robbie is back in control. And yeah, he makes, he's making it hurt. Like, he does to Quan what Quan was trying to do to him, like, humiliate him and kind of drag it out. So then what happens?
Well, he scores that point, and you know, Cobra Kai gets eliminated 3-2.
Fuck me! Wait a second. There's one more episode, right? Like,
yep.
But you do know that the dragons are in the background, so you're not you're not like, oh, okay. Yeah, the show's called Cobra Kai, but I get it. They're out now, so the bigger threat is these guys that nobody can beat.
And then, of course, we have our little twist where Silver comes in once again.
Yeah.
And hands the little record sheet of the Sekai Taikai that Miyagi was in to Daniel. And then, of course, you know, Daniel's so reluctant to open this because he thinks his leg is getting pulled again, but he opens it and finds out that whatever match Mr. Miyagi was in killed his opponent.
What you talking about, Willis?
I just don't care. I don't know.
But what's your thoughts on that, Ben? Because since we don't know how this is going to end just yet, my only fear, because it's kind of walking a very thin line right now of
they're already ruining Miyagi's character.
That's what I mean, right? It's walking this really fine line of a lot of recent like movies, especially woke movies and other types of movies that have come out recently, where they've been deconstructing a lot of our favorite protagonists and heroes of past franchises and films. And you're sitting there going like, okay, so are you guys going to do this to Mr. Miyagi or not? Because like I'm just so tired of deconstruction. Or
I don't think it's that. And this show's been very good at not becoming a woke show. It's managed to keep itself out of that by sort of mocking it in a very like flattering way. You know, Johnny
especially.
Johnny is your built-in like get out of jail free card, basically. Yep. You know, so I don't think it's that. I honestly, Mark, my opinion is, I think the showrunners and the writers, being this far into a show, which Netflix never gets to any season 6, they're just running out of filler plot points. They're probably running out of stuff for Daniel to do.
Mr. Miyagi, what are you doing? It's me.
I don't know. To me, they're kind of just stomping on Mr. Miyagi's legacy a little bit.
I mean, maybe some other idea would have been better. Because I mean, I guess I understand why they have it, right? Because you definitely have that definitive subplot with Johnny, right? So if you've got Johnny and Daniel, and you want them to both have the equal relevance with an equal subplot, but I don't know. At some point, if it's not necessary, like I mean, in the end, they're supposed to be there for their students.
Well, that's
good enough for me, right? That would be good enough for me story-wise.
I don't think any of this Miyagi subplot was necessary. There was a million different avenues you could have had Daniel do. I mean, I can't tell you right off the bat what they could have been, but I'm with you. I just, to me, it bogs down the show. We don't need Daniel thinking about that while he's at this tournament. It makes Daniel look weak, and it makes him look not committed to his students.
I think at this point, they should have had him finally get over that hero worship. And I think that would have been a great place to just finally end his character thing, but without obviously dragging anything through, Miyagi through the dirt or anything.
That might be where they're going with it.
And maybe it makes more sense to end it with the entire like series finale. But I wouldn't have minded it ending sooner if that's what their goal is, right? Like,
yeah, and I think there's this huge sense of entitlement by Daniel. Like, Miyagi never told me about any of this. I thought I knew this man, dude. the guy met you in his later years of life. You were not the most important thing in his life, you know? Yeah, you were his best friend for his last 20 or 30 years of life, sure. But like, why would he want to tell someone who he has been inspiring to become a man that, you know, he had this thing or the I just don't like any of that stuff.
Most people do not tell everyone their demons or skeletons in their closet, right?
Absolutely not.
You just don't go out blurting those things, no matter how well you know some people sometimes. I mean, I have stuff that, like, even though I've never done anything too major, I've still never told anybody because it's just, there's no reason to, or I don't want to.
Well, or it's just like nobody's asking. So why, who and why, who would you tell and why? You know,
exactly.
I have things too. It's like, I shit my pants one time when I was in my early 20s because I was on a watch for 24 hours straight in the military and I couldn't find a bathroom. It's like, well, now I just told you.
Shit happens, right?
Daniel, son, I want to tell you that I robbed a liquor store, beat somebody up, and killed somebody in a contest that you've never heard of. Episode 9 basically ends with Cobra Kai eliminated. Miyagi-Do pretty much on top of the world with everybody in sync and ready to fuck shit up. And then that monkey wrench is Silver giving Daniel the irrelevant piece of subplot.
Oh, you should have seen your face.
Quiet!
Episode 10, Innuendo.
Daniel fighting a nightmare version of a younger Miyagi in a Sakai tournament, and they did a pretty good job of. I don't know if that's they found someone with a really good likeness or they did some de-aging, but
no, that was a different actor. Yeah,
but I mean, very very convincing look.
And they should have kept it that way. We didn't need the blinking of the eyes and seeing a Grand Moff Tarkin level with the AI voice dub over. What do you think of that decision? Because they've always said they were not going to do that. They were not going. Well, they also said they weren't going to tarnish Mr. Miyagi's legacy either. So. I
mean, I guess it was there for just having a kind of impact, especially with the line that he delivered at the end before he did the kind of like a death strike punch.
But he knew it was Mr. Miyagi he was fighting. We're not stupid. Like we could have. If they didn't do that, I think more people disliked that from what I've seen online.
Oh yeah. I mean, it probably was unnecessary. They could have just left it at the young Miyagi the entire time. So
they've been very respectful. So I shouldn't give them too much shit. But
yeah. So then you got Robbie trying to talk to Tori one last time, and of course Quan interjects himself in there. So they try to say their goodbyes, and we also learn that they did break up. But maybe there's still a chance to get together because I mean, it's been still alluded to of like, hey, at the end of all this, I still want you standing by me, right? So I'm curious if that's going to still play out in some form or fashion in part 3.
Did that whole thing remind you? We were on a break.
We were on a break.
Kreese suddenly going super hardcore cartoon villain. He wants to go stab Silver. Very badly.
I don't know what his plan was in that scene. What was his plan? Like Silver could easily destroy Kreese. We know that by now. He's more spry. He's more youthful. He's way taller. He's better at karate somehow. I mean, obviously, Timothy and Griffith is actually a karate guy, but I just don't know what Kreese's plan was. He's this little knife it looks like a butter knife. It doesn't look sarp at all.
No, I think at this point he didn't care, right? Because like Cobra Kai was eliminated.
Right. They were eliminated. You're right.
Yeah, and so he's just like, I've got nothing left, so it's like, F this guy.
I can't go back to Korea because I'm disgraced. I disgraced the dojo.
Yep.
There's nothing for me in the I get it.
But then of course the murder attempt gets interrupted by the PA announcement, right? So they call everyone back to the lobby to then find out the Russian team has been duping.
Oh, and that also reminded me of that scene from Dodgeball.
Unfortunately for Troop 417, during the ADAA required random drug screening, one of your players' urine tested positive for 3 separate types of anabolic steroids, beaver tranquilizer. I'm afraid, by rule, your team must be disqualified.
God damn you, Bernice!
By the power.
I mean, that was kind of a little come out of nowhere moment where it's like, okay, so this team is suddenly eliminated, and the team with the next highest set of points gets to come back in, and it just once again happens to be Cobra Kai, so they got a lifeline.
I wasn't surprised when that happened.
Then, of course, with this news, you've got Johnny and Daniel kind of being disappointed and mopey again.
Daniel's like, they're like, Dad, what are we gonna do? And he goes, yeah, you know, we'll do the usual stuff. We'll run through the usual stuff. And they're just like, no, like we need a spark right now.
Yeah,
you know?
we need something from our senseis. So I love that Chosen got that out of them.
Miguel,
Johnny Daniel moment came up, and then Miguel with the MVP hero moment also.
He earns that badge, man. Like, and you know what was so great about that is like it shows how much Miguel. We all know like his relationship with Johnny has been so strong. He's basically his surrogate father, but he also has a strong relationship with Daniel, which he developed in season 4 quite a bit. You know, like he really, like Daniel taught him how to drive, taught him how to like fix a car. He has a lot of respect and admiration and love for both of those guys. He's not just a Johnny side guy, you know, and he really shows how much he knows what makes both of those guys tick and so much about what's frustrating them. It was such a great scene on the beach. And
I know what we need to do. And of course we go into like a nice little 80s montage.
Now, some people use the latest high-tech junk to get there, and some people need to run up a mountain in the snow and yell, "Drago!"
So we get our montage, and then back to the tournament we go. So you see like Quan, I think, goes first, and he gets a huge, like, gains a huge amount of points because he actually knocks out his opponent, which apparently is a big point.
Well, he comes back as like a completely different fighter when he gets a second chance. Like he does not fuck with that second chance. He wants to kill everybody.
Yep.
So he's 10 times more dangerous than he was before. Yeah.
So the next big one that happens, and this is exactly why we have weight classes and these types of sports and competitions. Robbie versus Axel. And Robbie gives it his all, and you can tell he's trying. His head is in the game, but like there's just nothing anybody can do to Axel. It's not even just skills alone. The dude is just a fucking monstrous tank.
And he's not slow for how big he is. And I want to say I didn't notice how short Tanner Buchanan was until this season when Bruce Lee had to fight Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's like 3 feet taller than him. It all unfolded exactly how you thought. Like, oh, he's using defense. Oh, well, now use offense. They're like, he's throwing everything at him. He's got nothing. I
mean, despite Robbie's best efforts, I mean, he couldn't land any points on Axel, and Axel was just boom, 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 just, you know, chipping away at him because he can't do anything, right? And at some point, it just goes pure defensive, and it's like, what can you do? So then he ends up getting flung to the sidelines. It happens to land where like Quan and the Cobra Kai guys are at, so he gets like the cheap shot, like elbow into the side. You know, Quan being the dickhead that he is, you know, cheap shots him in the ribs.
Do you think that was the best thing that could have happened to Robbie? Because he was going to lose that fight, and what we're going to talk about moving forward kept him from losing that fight, despite how insane everything is.
Yeah,
he doesn't lose that. He was going to lose that fight. He wasn't going to land a point on Axel. Probably.
Yeah,
he might have landed one, maybe like a trip up or something. But
to me, the thing that came out of nowhere too, especially as Gunther steps in to try to like break up the massive rising tension in the entire room, not just between those two pairs of fighters, fucking Russian sensei guy just comes straight in and
knocks him right out, dude. Yeah, I love Gunther. He's a great character too.
Yeah, no, I like Gunther too, but like I can't believe that's you know,
they incite the riot that happens in there, like because they're all crazy steroid. I mean, when that girl like just like drug test this bitch and like basically like pile drive someone through a table. Yeah, then it just goes. So at this point, guys, this is where like Cobra Kai has reached an all new level. Yes, we had a brawl at the school. We had a brawl at the LaRusso house. We had a brawl at the Terry Silver's new Cobra Kai facility. Nothing like this, because these are all dangerous people that could possibly kill one another with their bare hands.
Yep. So the entire tournament explodes into just one massive several dojo brawl.
It's absolutely. I wrote a tweet, Mark. I actually think I texted you. I said this is the most satisfying, entertaining, bonkers like 30 minutes of anything I've ever seen on Netflix, and I will stand by that, like, because it was just so out of left field. I had no idea that was going to happen.
So which is cool. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I also understand the mixed reactions I got from it, because I did see a lot of people were online where they're like,
really,
I'm not against the brawl, because they really enjoyed the high school brawl because it was a very proper lead up to that brawl happening, and it felt more grounded. Where here some people were like, are they just trying to up the scale and the stakes so high that we have to have this crazy ass unbelievable thing happen in the middle of a tournament?
I thought of that, but we won't know until we see the final 5 episodes. Because to me, it's almost like the writers are like, should we have Miyagi-Do win? Is that too easy? Like, isn't that too like predictable and like happy ending? Maybe it should be a thing where like they cancel the whole thing, nobody wins, but some people end up getting deals out of it because of how good they were. When I saw it, first of all, I was laughing, cheering, and completely loving every single. I'm like, this is the best non-movie I've seen all year. Like, it was so much fun to watch. Like, who is beating up who, and like the Irish girl comes back, and then the Hawks fighting with someone, and the other guy that we've seen from like the Mexican team who has kind of a mohawk.
Yeah, the similar hair. They were working together.
Yeah, they kind of work together, and then also the girl on that team looks at Dimitri and he's like, "I have a girlfriend." Yeah, it did feel super dark at first, and it gets darker and darker and darker.
So and then we got a few nice moments where like Chosen comes to Kim's aid again. So they tag team like the 2 Russian senseis, I believe.
Full effect of her character completely letting herself become letting somebody else into her life when she's kind of getting her butt kicked, and Chosen shows up and she goes, "My hero."
But I also like that, Chosen also, we got the payoff where he was like, not a mistake.
Yes.
I love the callback where he purposely said like, this is not a mistake. Kenny and Devin fighting together, and then
they're the 2 youngest on the team. So like it's interesting that they both are working together and kind of like high flying style, and they're running up the stairs. Like, Kenny's always been that kind of fighter where like he kind of runs and makes somebody come to him, and then hits them that way.
All I can do is run.
Then use that. Instead of using your speed to run away from your enemies, use it to run at them.
Very small moment, very short moment, but it was nice seeing them compliment each other on their moves. Nice move, Kenny. Oh, nice move, Devin.
Yeah, and I love how Johnny and Wolf come across each other too, because I think Wolf was like kind of seeking him out. He's like, John Lawrence, so, Johnny's just looking at him like, this dipshit again, And I love how they start fighting, and then Daniel comes to his defense, and I love how Wolf says something, and then Johnny comes with his one line. It's immediately face.
I actually get a good workout. Work this out, man.
Dying, dude. It was basically like it's right when Daniel and Johnny get next or right in front of him, and he goes, "All right, asshole, let's boing," and it does that like gong sound effect.
And you see like Zapka's face just like,
dude. Oh, I loved it.
It's like, ding.
Yeah, darn. It's just like, because you're waiting for this like Johnny line, and then it's like, no, this guy is not fucking waiting for you to say something.
He's like, all right, motherfucker.
All right, asshole. Let's go. At one point, you could think like, okay, is Miguel gonna have to sit there and like try to fight this Axel guy? And if so, is he gonna actually kind of compete with them? But no, you get Sam coming to help Miguel in a fight against, I think, Quan, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Quan kicks Sam in the stomach. And then you get this like beast mode Axel just going right to Quan and destroying him. Like,
yeah, because like you said, he saw the way he kicked Sam, and then he still had Miguel like in his hands. And he just looks at he just
throws him. He just fucking chucks him. Yeah. That kick he lands to Quan where he knocks into the camera. Dude, that kick is brutal, dude. Like, yeah, I don't think anybody in the Sekai Kai was gonna beat Axel. We keep cutting back to like back in the valley where like Amanda's
the LaRusso house. Yep.
Yeah, the LaRusso house, and their reactions are just so great during this fight. Like when Quan like knocks over the camera and he's on the ground with a bloody face, he's like, ah! Like they're all just like, what the fuck is
like especially Anthony and Amanda. She's just like, oh my god. So once again, Kreese wanting to kill Terry, sees him escaping off into the back, goes.
Why did he take his knife from here to here? Why?
I mean,
he could drop it. I know.
Yeah, the plot needed him to drop it.
But he goes like this. He's like, "Oh, here's my knife from my secret place. I'm gonna put it in a different secret place."
Silver, only to find out he doesn't have his dagger anymore. And then he's just like, oh shit.
What's the matter, John? You lose
Yeah.
something? God,
You know?
every line out of Thomas Ian Griffith's mouth is just gold. It's just fucking gold. He plays a very small part in this, and I gotta say, aside from rattling a couple of things and legitimately trying to win the contest, he didn't really do anything wrong. You know, he hired a team and funded them. He didn't do any evil shit, really. He's just an evil. He just seems like an evil guy, you know.
They fight, and then in a surprise,
he kicks the shit out of Kreese. Basically.
Oh yeah, like he was just gonna. Who knows if he was even gonna kill Kreese? Like maybe.
Probably
right?
not. Probably not.
But then Johnny steps in a surprise moment. He leaves Daniel to Wolf, and he comes into Kreese's defense. And
Another payoff.
Another payoff.
I owed you one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he actually starts beating Silver pretty handily.
You know what that payoff's from, right? Season 4, where Johnny comes into the old dojo and Silver hits him. Silver sucker kicks him.
Come on out.
Well, Johnny's gotten so good at this point. Like, he's fought so many fucking times. He doesn't just teach. He like fights all the time. You know, like Silver. When's the last time he fought? Like Daniel when he got killed, when he got beat in the end of season 5. And then he drank a lot, and months passed, and it's like, yeah, he hasn't fought that much. Plus, he's in a suit and tie. Like, Johnny's gonna beat him. He's in a gi.
And then, of course, the surprise shock of the episode and of the season, right? So once Kreese realizes his dagger is gone, who's the person who sees it laying on the ground after he gets his face kicked into the camera? Old Quan.
Yeah, and Daniel sees it immediately.
Yeah, and Daniel's trying to like get through everybody to stop this from happening. So you see all this slow-mo of trying to, stop this.
That's one of my favorite Daniel moments too. Like, they give Daniel the floor at the end of this to really, because he's the one that's always felt the most responsibility for kids. And even though he's fighting in this giant mess, he's still always trying to say, dude, these are kids. We have to stop this. Like, I've always liked that about Daniel. Is like, he still sees all these people as kids, except for the senseis, And so when he sees Quan grab that, he's just like, dude, something's, whether it's going to be you or somebody else, like, this is bad, and you guys are just kids, So I love how they keep editing back to Daniel chasing. I don't know how far away he was, why he couldn't catch him, but
yeah, it was really hard to tell what the distance was, because obviously
I think it was supposed to all happen within seconds or something.
Probably, right? Like, because he tries to do this really crazy like flying kick that Axel because like I had to rewatch it a little bit in slow mo, because like you see him try to kick Axel, and Axel just kicked his kick like just right out of the air.
Yeah, he
causing
away.
Quan to flip in the air and land in an awkward position where he ends up unfortunately stabbing himself with the damn dagger. And then of course that gut-wrenching scream that just echoed through the entire hall. Everyone just suddenly just paused, like immediately paused.
That scream was such a death scream, and good on the actor for like how it sounded. That got like, I mean, forget about our protagonists are good guys. That had Terry Silver look up like, holy shit.
Yeah, like every single person was just like...
Yeah. Daniel shows up. When he spins him around, dude, you're like, whoa. Like, it's right in his heart. Or it's right in his...
Or like right, like just right...
Yeah, right, dead center. Just completely dead. No coming back. And then you start to see the facial expressions of every character, even the small ones that just came into the show this season. And the one that really struck me by surprise was Silver's. Like, Silver had this facial expression like just as shocked as everybody else. Like, he didn't want that to happen, He really just hates Kreese and hates Daniel. That's it. He doesn't want anybody to die. He's not that bad. But then when they show, like, Amanda and the people back home, it rocks you to your core as a Cobra Kai fan, because you're like, now someone's died, Yep. And Mike Barnes in part 1 said, people have died in this before, but probably not from self-inflicted knife wounds.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we had a lot of foreshadowing, right? I mean, you had the Mike Barnes mentioning it.
People have died. No!
The fact that Miyagi either intentionally or accidentally killed someone, because we don't have
a lot
of
foreshadowing. Yeah.
Then of course, you have the last shot with Gunther just saying, cut the feed, cut the feed.
Cut the feed. Cut the feed!
So yeah, that's Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2, episodes 6 through 10. It is glorious. I think it's some of the best Cobra Kai we've had, which is crazy to think that in Season 6, stretching a show out so far that you can still get some of the most quality stuff that far down the road. One more part to go.
At least it's a great testament to something I still stand by, is this is how you can actually bring back an old IP, and if you respect it, it can be well done and it will be loved, just like the the original just characters and stories that it's based on. This is an example of how you do it right.
All right, guys, we will see you next time. Quiet!
We drink it up.
Hey, all you cinema drunks, if you liked this video, please click like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Leave some comments in the comment section below. And till next time, everybody.
I drink it up!